So the fact that Jordan Peterson claims to have effectively eliminated his gum disease and his psoriasis symptoms likely has less to do with anything miraculous in the meat and more to do with the fact that he's eliminating all other foods.
Yes, Abby, well done. You've finally said something that makes sense. So I don't care what your studies say, I don't care what associations or correlations you can find in the literature, it's meaningless. We have done the experiment on ourselves multiple times and we've figured out what works for us. I don't know why you can't just accept it and move on.
If you are wondering what the you eat on a carnivore diet, well, according to Jordan Peterson,
I eat beef and salt and water.
Buckle up, babies. Let's dive in and debunk some of the pro-carnivore claims he makes on the show.
This is so cringy. She can't even make a video without reading off a script. I mean, she zooms in on her face and you see her eyes going all over the place. It's really quite strange.
Claim number 1, the carnivore diet results in weight loss.
She's going to debunk this. It's fat loss we're interested in, let's face it.
I lost 7 pounds the first month. Then I lost 7 pounds the next month. Then I lost 7 pounds the next month. I lost 7 pounds every month for 7 months. It's like
No, you didn't. Abby Sharp says no.
I had to throw away all my clothes. I lost 50 pounds. I'm nowhere near as hungry as I used to be. My appetite's probably fallen by 70%.
So this weight loss definitely does sound extreme, but not that surprising when you really think about it. So for one, this diet is just fat and protein.
The 2 essential macronutrients.
Which are 2 macronutrients that are very satiating because they delay stomach emptying and digest slower than, let's say, simple carbs.
Right, but when you're eating the fats and the proteins from a ruminant animal, you're also getting every micronutrient that you need.
Also, a diet of literally just one food or food group with no sauce or garnishes, side dishes, etc. is going to get so boring.
We don't want all the other additional unnecessary stuff, the sugary stuff, the spices, and it doesn't get boring whatsoever. I'm once again looking forward to my delicious, juicy steak today.
And monotonous that it's pretty hard to overeat. A lot of folks would just end up eating the bare minimum to keep the hunger pains at bay because
No, we all eat to satiety actually, Abby.
eating like a second porterhouse is probably going to seem like a huge chore when
Not if you're hungry and you're on a carnivore diet. Nope. Not at all.
you've already had a T-bone for lunch. And while I would argue that all fad weight loss diets are
It's not a fad weight loss diet. It's not a fad diet and it's not just a weight loss diet.
unsustainable, the carnivore diet really takes the cake. For one, it's expensive as to meat.
If you buy expensive meat, sure. It doesn't have to be expensive. You can get freebies from your butchers. Fat trimmings, bone marrow. If not, they're very, very cheap. You can get high-fat ground beef and lamb, venison. It's all very cheap. The higher in fat, usually the cheaper it gets. There's loads of options, so it doesn't have to be expensive.
Eat 2,000 calories in steaks. You're looking at least $25 or more per day.
We don't eat 2,000 calories of anything.
Second, you have very little opportunity for any socializing around food. Unless you're dining in a steakhouse where they're cool with you swapping out your potato for a side of salt, it seems you're pretty much doomed to just dine alone at home for life.
Okay, so just because your friends have a different diet, why does that mean you can't be socializing with them? You can go out, you don't have to switch out the sides on your plate, you just order the steak and tell them to hold the rest. It's like, and we're not going to just die alone at home because we ate the carnivore diet. Where is she going with this?
There's been a mistake. You've accidentally given me the food that my food eats.
And 3, there are a whole host of not so sexy side effects that I'm going to speak to in a moment. Not to mention, when you inevitably throw in the towel on this miserable exercise,
Now, we were miserable because we were unhealthy. That's why we adopted a proper human diet. And now we're healthier, we're no longer miserable.
You'd not only gain all the weight right back, but you'd also probably be faced with overwhelming digestive problems as your body is forced to really quickly upregulate all of the enzymes that were suppressed from your mono-meal lifestyle.
Well, hopefully we're not going to go back to the things that caused all the issues to begin with.
And is weight loss really so important when your health and legit life is at stake?
We're all healthier. Jordan Peterson has become healthier for adopting this diet. He's come off of medications because his symptoms are no more. So what do you want, Abby?
No pun intended. We know that a diet that's very high in red meat is associated with increased risks of colorectal, breast.
Oh, we know that it's associated in these pseudo-scientific papers.
And prostate cancer. And we also know that ultra-high protein diets, especially those high in red meat, can strain our kidneys and increase.
Oh yeah, you know, the stuff we've always eaten destroys our kidneys. That's why we're all here with kidneys. Make it make sense. And the body, when it detects proteins from chicken, it's like, oh, we'll give it a pass, you know. That's fine. Red meat, destroy the kidneys.
Calcium loss. And while the evidence on the impact of saturated fats is controversial and mixed, as I discussed in my video right here, we do know that high intakes of saturated fat from red meat specifically does appear to increase the risk of heart disease by increasing trimethylamine and oxide. It
Saturated fats, cholesterol, does not cause heart disease.
also goes without saying that a meat-only diet can only displace like really important nutrients like fiber.
Fiber's not a nutrient, Abbey. You're a registered dietitian and you don't know that fiber's not a nutrient. It's also non-essential.
Vitamin C.
We get vitamin C. That's why no one on a carnivore diet develops scurvy.
Other antioxidants that are...
No, we get all the antioxidants that we need from red meat, grounding ourselves electrically to the earth. Plants are pro-oxidants.
Largely found in plant-based foods. And we know that a diet completely void of fiber can have negative implications for our microbiome.
False. It's non-essential. We don't require it. Lots of sugar, we can't digest, doesn't enter the bloodstream like a nutrient, it ends up down the toilet. On the way, it causes bloatedness and gas and blocks nutrients.
While low intakes of antioxidants like vitamin C carries
We get vitamin C.
increased risks to health. But according to Jordan Peterson, the lack of vitamin C from the carnivore diet is a non-issue.
Well, it's not a lack of. We're getting all the vitamin C that we require, given the fact that we are not consuming carbohydrates or glucose or non-heme iron sources or a diet that's devoid of carnitine and collagen, etc. We don't need as much vitamin C.
Which brings me to claim number 2, you don't need vitamin C.
Well, that's not true, obviously.
I would assume that you need phytonutrients. I would
Non-essential.
assume you need vitamin supplements.
You don't need to supplement a diet that offers every single essential nutrient that we need to thrive and be healthy.
Vitamin C, for example.
Yes.
Turns out if you don't eat carbohydrates, you don't need vitamin C. Who would have...
Yeah, that's not accurate. So we do need vitamin C, but we get enough. There is vitamin C present in meat.
guessed that?
How's that work?
Vitamin C is necessary for carbohydrate metabolism.
Not quite. Like most vitamins and minerals, vitamin C serves more than just one function in the body. So, for example, it's involved in collagen and neurotransmission,
We don't have to synthesize collagen. We get collagen from animal sources of nutrition.
immune function,
Our immune function improves on a carnivore diet. Explain that.
wound healing,
I've had a very large surgery on a carnivore diet and my wound healed twice as fast as anticipated.
iron absorption, and it's
Again, this is so iron absorption. They should put non-heme iron absorption. Okay, we only need vitamin C ferroreductase to convert non-heme, which is in plants, to heme iron. We get plenty of heme iron, and so we don't require vitamin C for this. Anti-inflammatory, well, we get vitamin C in meat.
also anti-inflammatory due to its antioxidant properties. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't knock the importance of vitamin C as strictly just a metabolizer. Plus, vitamin C is actually involved in protein metabolism by playing an important role in the synthesis of collagen, L-carnitine.
We don't need that because we get it directly from animal sources of nutrition.
Catecholamines, and other proteins. This is why vitamin C is essential for wound repair and healthy brain function.
How did I heal so well then, in double speed, on a carnivore diet that doesn't have enough vitamin C? Clearly it does.
Along with a ton of other things. With that
Like what?
said, what happens when you're not getting any vitamin C from the carnivore diet? Well,
I mean, maybe if you're only eating canned dried meat, but who's doing that?
of course, this would have immunological, cognitive, and dermatological consequences.
Well, all of those things improve for most people on a carnivore diet.
And in extreme cases, you could develop scurvy, which results in symptoms of fatigue, inflammation, depression.
We've just reversed our depression, both myself, Jordan Peterson, his wife and his daughter on a carnivore diet, and none of us have scurvy.
And in some cases, even death.
Maybe it's none of my business, but if you eat 3 pounds of steak every day, you're gonna die.
However,
Take it up with Sean Baker. He seems to be doing quite well.
Proponents of the carnivore diet argue that you can apparently obtain enough vitamin C from a meat-only diet to prevent scurvy. And while they're technically not wrong here, since research on Inuit communities suggests that one can obtain vitamin C from animal organs and raw meat,
Muscle meat is sufficient, but organs will give you a little bit more. She hasn't actually debunked anything yet. I thought she was going to debunk all of these things.
you would have to eat a lot of meat. So for example, you can eat 770 grams of raw beef liver to get a pathetic 10 milligrams of vitamin C, or you can take a single bite out of an orange. Your choice.
Why would we want to take a bite out of an orange? I've never seen an orange grow here in the UK. They're certainly not available all year round. It's full of sugar. Like, what are we doing exactly?
Your choice. So while carnivore dieters may have hacked their way into preventing scurvy by eating
No, we're not hacking our way. We're just eating appropriately as a human being.
more organ meats, it's very unlikely that they would be hitting the 90 milligram daily vitamin C recommendation.
What, for men? And that's an RDA that's in the context of a standard Western diet or a carbohydrate heavy diet. So you're not taking in the fact that there's a lot of nuance here.
Which you can get in like half a bell pepper without inadvertently
We don't want solanine poison from a nightshade.
throwing everything else out of whack. Lastly, proponents of the carnivore diet are quick to rag on vegetables for their anti-nutrient properties.
All plants contain anti-nutrients.
Jordan Peterson never explicitly spoke about this on the podcast app, but I do really want to quickly debunk this
You haven't debunked anything yet.
since we're all here and it does come up quite often. Now, it is true that some vegetables, legumes, and whole grains do contain anti-nutrients that reduce the absorption of some vitamins and minerals.
Every single plant on the planet, fact.
But in general, anti-nutrients are not a major threat to our health, and the foods that contain
Explain that to people that can't reintroduce the plants back in the diet without having issues. It's just ridiculous.
them also contain beneficial nutrients like fiber,
That's not a nutrient, remember?
vitamins, and antioxidants.
They're pro-oxidants. Every single plant is a pro-oxidant. The reason being, when we consume toxic plants, our body upregulates its master antioxidant glutathione via a pathway called the NRF2 pathway. It's an antioxidant pathway. When we see this rise, people correlate these two and think, oh, look at all of the antioxidants in plants. They are not antioxidants, they are pro-oxidants.
Plus, a lot of the anti-nutrient content contained in certain foods is also greatly reduced just by cooking them.
So's the nutrition, Abbey.
Ah, yes, civilization has its perks. So, moving on to claim number 3, carnivorism can cure anxiety and depression.
Well, it has and it does. It's cured mine. It's cured Jordan's, Michaela's, Tammy's, many others, thousands, millions maybe.
Quit eating greens. And I thought, oh, really? Jesus, Michaela, I'm eating cucumbers, lettuce, broccoli, and chicken and beef. It's like I have to cut out the goddamn greens? It's like, try it for a month. Okay, within a week.
I don't know what she's pretending to tap away at here while she drinks her tannic acid in her tea that's going to deplete minerals.
I was 25% less anxious in the morning. Within 2 weeks, 75%. And I've been better every single day.
No, you haven't. Abbey says no.
I'm better now probably than I've ever been in my life. And I haven't been taking antidepressants for a whole year.
Listen, what works for one person's mental health is not going to work for another.
So take drugs. Let's just go down the mainstream route. Don't address root cause. Take drugs.
I will never belittle someone's lived experience.
You constantly do, Abbey.
But what does the data say? Well, there was really only one retrospective study on the carnivore diet, which used self-reported data, aka pretty much the biased bottom of the barrel
All nutrition studies, forget them. Most of them are absolute garbage.
when it comes to study design quality. But anyways, so any effect that the carnivore diet may have on mood disorders like anxiety and depression is largely anecdotal and not evidence-based.
Just millions of us. Forget about it. It's not important.
However, we do have some research on the effects of the keto diet for depression. And given that the carnivore diet is essentially like a higher protein version of the keto diet in that it eliminates carbs and puts the body into a state of ketosis, it does give us a better idea of what might be going on neurologically.
So carnivore diets aren't always ketogenic diets, right? For that reason. A carnivore diet could consist of nothing but milk. And there's no way if you're going to drink loads of milk, it's a ketogenic diet, right? So there is a difference between a ketogenic diet and a carnivore diet. There is no such thing as the ketogenic diet or the carnivore diet because they're all different.
So, research suggests that the keto diet may help to improve symptoms of anxiety and depression by increasing
It's absolutely the most effective way of addressing mental conditions. 100%. It's very well researched.
circulating levels of the neurotransmitter GABA, which plays a key role in managing stress, anxiety, and mood. However, more research is needed to fully understand this mechanism before we can recommend the keto diet as a legitimate treatment for.
What's the keto diet? A keto diet, right? Ketogenic diets and carnivore diets, animal-based diets, are proper human diets. We're born into ketosis. Babies go in and out of ketosis. Children go in and out of ketosis very, very easily. In nature, how are you not going to be in nutritional ketosis most of the time? Where are all of those carbohydrates?
For mood disorders. And even if we did have more research to recommend this as a possible adjunct therapy, it would never be recommended that you only eat meat.
Well, maybe one day it will be the case that someone that knows what they're talking about would advise that to a patient in certain circumstances with autoimmunity, cancer, etc.
There's really nothing miraculous about a ribeye steak that will cure your depression. You would still be able to eat a variety of other keto-friendly foods other than meat.
No, I thought she was almost on the right track there. I would agree there's nothing miraculous about just eating fatty red meat, for example, and seeing all your problems slowly but surely disappear, right? Or reduce massively. What we've done is got rid of all the other crap. But what she's suggesting is that we can also eat things like avocados and nuts and oils because they're high fat. You'll get the same results. Well, no. We've tried that. That's why we are doing what we're doing. It's not a laugh. It's not funny. We don't think it's super clever to eat only red meat. You know, if we could eat, I don't know, pizza, pasta, whatever it is that a lot of people like, then we probably would, right? We would eat what we enjoy eating because there's no consequences. Well, there is a consequence to eating plants for so many people. And for those individuals, you just have to have some kind of empathy and understanding for them. This is a matter of being healthy or not.
Other than meat, like vegetables, nuts, seeds, fish, and dairy, and you'd probably be happier if you weren't
No, we're not going to be happier if we have a lot of symptoms come back and our disease comes back or we flare up again. No, we're not going to be happier.
Constipated or losing your teeth due to scurvy or malnutrition.
We're still waiting for that. It's not happened yet.
No, not today.
In fact, research suggests that a diet rich in fruits and vegetables is associated with a lower risk of depression. So
why then is it that the people that cut out this stuff lift their depression? Why is it that when we reintroduce the plant compounds and the plant foods, depression comes back? So I don't care what your studies say, I don't care what associations or correlations you can find in the literature, it's meaningless. We have done the experiment on ourselves multiple times and we've figured out what works for us. I don't know why you can't just accept it and move on.
So yeah, the logic here just doesn't check out. But
tell me about it.
Back to Peterson for a hot moment, because I do find that his testimony is very powerful. So what could possibly explain his unique ability to get off his meds?
He's removed all of the potential culprits from plant foods, fungi, etc. And he only eats the most nutrient-dense food and the least inflammatory food, like myself and the rest of his family.
Well, honestly, there's a lot to be unsure about in the world of mental health research, but one thing is pretty clear, that the placebo effect is real. We have lots of compelling evidence on the power.
Sorry, do you think that we're all just going on a lion diet and then the placebo effect kicks in at full strength? Like no one can deny the power of the placebo effect once on the lion diet. What on earth are you talking about?
Power of placebo for anxiety and depression, because a positive placebo experience can increase mood neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin. And despite a lot of heated controversy and debate, we even have studies to suggest that placebo medication may actually produce the same effect as actual antidepressant pharmaceuticals. Now, another potential explanation here is that Peterson's autoimmune disease made him uniquely and legitimately sensitive to a number of different foods, which he effectively removed due to the nature of his very restrictive diet.
Exactly. So what are you trying to say?
And that brings me to my next point. Claim number 4, carnivorism cures autoimmune diseases.
We see this time and time again, over and over. Autoimmune diseases respond miraculously to a carnivore diet without dairy or a high-fat lion diet. 1 to 2 meals a day and fasting. absolutely the most effective way to address autoimmune conditions.
And my psoriasis disappeared. I've had gum disease since I was 25. That's been serious enough I've had to have minor surgical interventions, scraping and that sort of thing to keep it at bay. It's gone. I checked with my dentist before this last tour. No inflammation.
So as I discussed in my video on downshiftology, which you can watch right here, autoimmune diseases are complicated as but simply put, an autoimmune disease is a condition where the immune system attacks part of the body that it mistakes as foreign, even though they're otherwise perfectly healthy cells. So the first step in alleviating autoimmune disease symptoms would be to lower the chronic inflammation and
by removing all the possible culprits from the plant world.
ultimately get the gut in check to help
Exactly.
downregulate this autoimmune response. But because there's no standard diet protocol for most autoimmune diseases,
Well, there should be, and it's called a PKD diet, right? Paleo-ketogenic diet. High-fat lion diet. 1 part fat, 2 parts protein on your plate. 1 to 2 meals a day, and fast.
it ends up being a lot of trial and error to be able to kind of like pin down the specific food triggers, which
Right, so we keep taking more and more things out until we result in eating exclusively the safest, best, most nutritious, and least inflammatory food on the planet.
should ideally be done through an elimination diet under the supervision of a registered dietitian.
I disagree with the second part. Goodness, how on earth would you be able to help anybody?
So the fact that Jordan Peterson claims to have effectively eliminated
Yeah, he's just an imposter. He's just on the Joe Rogan podcast, just making it up. We're all making it up. All my autoimmune diseases are the worst ever. I think my arteries are getting clogged. In fact, I think I'm having a heart attack. Oh my goodness.
his gum disease and his psoriasis symptoms likely has less to do with anything miraculous in the meat and more to do with the fact that he's eliminating all other foods,
Yes, Abbey, well done. You finally said something that makes sense.
a few of which may be triggering for him. In other
All of which.
words, we don't need to eliminate all vegetables when
Yes, we do.
only broccoli and cauliflower are the ones triggering symptoms.
This is your pointless, vacuous opinion.
A limited diet, especially one devoid of fiber, is the absolute worst diet for
It's the absolute worst diet. Something that doesn't contain something that's indigestible and non-essential is the worst diet ever.
a healthy microbiome. And a healthy microbiome is really the key.
No, let's stop with this microbiome crap. Let's address the diet first, and then the biome follows, not the biome first. That makes no sense. Your biome will adjust accordingly every time you put something different in your body.
To long-term remission from autoimmune or inflammatory conditions.
So why then, when we only eat fatty red meat, which would potentially reduce the diversity of our biome, does our conditions go away? Because all the time that the Peterson family and myself stay on a lion diet, we're great. So why would we change that? Why would we reintroduce things? The diversity, we need to eat variety to increase the diversity. Well, that's when our autoimmune disease comes back.
One of the hypotheses that we've been pursuing, and there's some justification for this in the scientific literature, is that the reason that you lay on layers of fat is because the fat acts as a buffer between you and the toxic things that you're eating. And maybe when you strip out that protective layer, then you're more sensitive to what you shouldn't be eating.
Nope. Time to go back to the drawing board on the
She's reading a script. All of this is scripted.
hypothesis here, Doc.
Science, damn you!
First of all, your body fat doesn't metabolize food, your digestive system does. Most importantly, your gut and your
It's all important. Your whole digestive system is important. It's not just about the gut. Let's just isolate the gut. That's the only thing that matters.
Your gut plays a very important role in regulating autoimmune disease symptoms. But
Which is why we want to seal it.
what we most often see in folks with autoimmune disease is a weakening of the integrity of the gut, which often results in intestinal permeability, otherwise known as leaky gut.
Yes, the culprits being plant compounds and casein protein from dairy.
This is why it's so important to focus on nutrients that support gut barrier function, like omega-3 fats,
Which don't exist in plants. We get DHA and EPA exclusively from animal sources of nutrition.
vitamin D,
We get vitamin D3 from animal sources of nutrition. We don't want vitamin D2, which is found in plants.
probiotics, and
Probiotics don't work. If they did, you'd only ever have to take one, and you wouldn't have to keep writing it on your shopping list every week.
antioxidant-rich foods.
They are all pro-oxidants.
It's also just as important to focus on food variety to support a
False. Every animal, every species is specialized in eating certain substrates, not the rainbow. What other animal eats everything in moderation? That's ridiculous.
Diverse microbiome. And surprise, surprise, that is not possible on a meat-only diet.
But we're healthier, Abbey. So what's the issue here? All of our symptoms have gone away. That's the definition of health, right? No signs that there's something wrong. I'm not aware of any part of my body. Everything ticks over well. But that's wrong.
With all that said, it's important to note that Jordan Peterson's experience and success on the carnivore diet is highly individualized and likely has to do with severe food sensitivities and
Yes, which he's cut out. How are you not getting this?
intolerances to a lot of the foods that he cut out. And while there is a very small possibility that beef is the only food that is well tolerated for him, although
Ruminant meat.
highly unlikely, it's
Sure, a silly opinion, Abbey.
important to keep in mind that one individual's unusual experience
It's not an unusual experience. Let's put you through it and then listen to people criticizing you for doing something that works for you.
does not build a case for universal adoption. Ultimately, the carnivore diet is overwhelmingly restrictive.
How? What's restrictive about being liberated? After being depressed and on medication, now we're liberated and free and healthy. And we get every single nutrient we need in terms of consumption from a cow, from ruminant meat. How is that restrictive?
Unsustainable, void of essential
They've been doing it for roughly 8 years, the Peterson family. I've been doing it for over 2.5 years. It's sustainable.
nutrients like fiber and antioxidants,
It's not a nutrient, Abbey. You're a registered dietitian. Come on now.
and increases the risk of negative health consequences like
Prove it. Risk. Why are you using that word?
scurvy, heart disease, cancer, and poor gut health.
Prove it. Why is it that we're all getting better? We're all getting healthier. How can we get healthier and feel good and present well and then have someone like you say, no problem. There's no problems. They've all gone away.
You don't have to be an Abbey stan to know that this is a hard pass for me. So on
Yeah, because you're a brainwashed, registered dietitian that doesn't know a single thing about real nutrition. You don't understand the hard science whatsoever. You think you understand nutrition science, but it's a load of correlative, associative, vacuous crap. And all of the stuff that you studied that makes you feel like you're a knowledgeable person in this realm is based on corrupt history and the food guidelines that got everybody sick and out of shape.
on that note, I'm gonna go eat a banana right now. That is
Sugar, yay! Well, I'm going to go and eat a steak, and it's going to be absolutely delicious like it is every single day.